Number 10. Musical chairs. Fear of being left out. The game looks harmless. Music plays, kids laugh, chairs scrape the floor. But beneath that noise is a lesson that lands quietly and stays loud for years. There is always one less place than people. Musical chairs doesn't teach rhythm or coordination. It teaches scarcity. From the very first round, your nervous system learns that safety is temporary and belonging can vanish in a second. When the music stops, it's not about speed. It's about panic. Children don't think, I should find a chair. They think, what if I'm the one standing? That moment, everyone grabbing, bodies colliding, eyes scanning, burns in a rule. Hesitation equals exclusion. You are trained to move fast not because it's fun, but because slowing down means humiliation. The worst part isn't losing, it's losing in front of everyone. One child remains standing while the circle closes without them. Laughter continues. The game moves on. No pause, no comfort, just a quiet message. The group will survive without you. Over time, that becomes adulthood anxiety. Saying yes when you want no. Staying in rooms that exhaust you. Fearing silence because silence feels like the music stopping. Musical chairs conditions people to believe that worth is competitive and temporary. That there are limited seats in jobs, relationships, friendships, even happiness. So you rush. You grab, you cling, not because you want to win, but because being left out feels like disappearing. And long after the music ends, many adults are still circling invisible chairs, terrified of being the only one left standing. Number 9. Spelling bees, shame of mistakes. Spelling bees sound like celebrations of intelligence. A microphone, a word, applause waiting. But the real lesson hides in the silence between letters. When a child steps forward, every breath becomes public property. One mistake is not just wrong, it is broadcast. The pause before each letter teaches a dangerous rule. Thinking too long is failure. Misspellings are treated like moral flaws. The bell rings. The judge says incorrect, and the child walks away carrying something heavier than embarrassment. They carry the idea that errors deserve exposure. Instead of curiosity, the brain learns avoidance. Instead of exploration, it learns to freeze. Perfection becomes safer than growth. What makes spelling bees powerful is memory. The room remembers, classmates remember, adults remember. A single slip becomes a story retold at home, at school, at dinner. The child learns that mistakes don't stay mistakes. They become labels. So later in life, people triple-check emails, fear asking questions, and stay silent in meetings. Not because they lack ideas, but because they fear the echo of that bell. Spelling bees quietly wire the mind to associate learning with danger. Words stop being tools and become traps. You don't practice to understand. You practice to avoid shame. Winning feels like relief, not joy. Losing feels permanent. Long after childhood, many adults still spell their thoughts carefully, terrified that one wrong letter will expose them again. Number 8. Dodgeball, fear of being targeted publicly. Dodgeball is framed as fun chaos. Balls flying, whistles blowing, laughter echoing off gym walls. But the core lesson is sharp and personal. You can be singled out at any moment. The game doesn't reward strategy as much as it rewards survival. You're not learning teamwork. You're learning how it feels to be hunted while everyone watches. The moment a ball hits your body, the room reacts. Cheers, groans, eyes lock onto you. You walk off the court alone, marked by impact. That instant teaches the nervous system that being noticed is dangerous. Attention becomes a threat, not a reward. You learn to stay small, stay fast, stay invisible. Worse is the targeting. Strong players don't throw randomly. They aim at the hesitant, the slow, the anxious. Children quickly understand where they rank. Once labeled easy, you're no longer playing a game. You're enduring exposure. That creates a lifelong reflex. If I stand out, I'll be attacked. In adulthood, this shows up as fear of public criticism, fear of speaking up, fear of being picked in meetings, comment sections, or social groups. Dodgeball conditions people to equate visibility with punishment. Success feels risky. Confidence feels like drawing fire. The game ends, but the lesson sticks. If you're seen, you might get hit. So many adults spend their lives dodging metaphorical balls, not because they're weak, but because they learned early that being targeted hurts more than losing. Number 7. Math races, fear of being slower than others. Math races are presented as motivation. Numbers on a board, a timer ticking, hands shooting up. But beneath the excitement is a brutal comparison engine. The lesson isn't about understanding math. It's about speed being mistaken for intelligence. From the first race, children learn that thinking carefully is a liability, and being slow is something to hide. When one child finishes first, the room locks onto them. Praise arrives instantly. Others are still processing, still counting, still trying to understand, but now understanding doesn't matter. What matters is order. First, second, last. The brain starts associating worth with ranking. If you're not fast, you're behind. If you're behind, you're failing. The timer is the real teacher. It creates panic. not focus. Mistakes happen not because the child can't solve the problem, but because fear rushes the process. Over time, the child stops trusting their own thinking pace. They learn to doubt pauses. Silence feels like exposure. Slowness feels shameful. This follows people into adulthood as productivity anxiety, reading faster than you comprehend, responding quickly instead of thoughtfully, feeling guilty for needing time. Math races quietly program the belief that your natural rhythm is wrong and that someone else is always ahead. So many adults aren't afraid of numbers. They're afraid of falling behind while everyone else looks confident. The race ends, but the clock never really stops. Number 6. Hopscotch. Fear of breaking sequence. Hopscotch feels innocent. Chalk on the ground, boxes numbered in order, one foot hopping forward. But hidden inside that simplicity is a powerful rule. There is only one correct path. Step wrong, and the game stops. From the beginning, children learn that progress depends on perfect sequence, not exploration. Each square must be touched in the right order, with the right foot, at the right moment. There's no room for improvisation. A slip isn't just clumsiness. It's failure. Other kids watch, waiting for the mistake. That pressure teaches the brain to fear deviation. Creativity gets replaced by caution. What sticks isn't the hopping. It's the anxiety of disruption. Children internalize the idea that life is a series of steps you must follow exactly. School, grades, career, success. Miss one square, and you're off track. Hopscotch quietly installs the belief that mistakes don't slow you down. They disqualify you. As adults, this shows up as paralysis. People delay starting projects because they're unsure of the correct order. They fear experimenting, pivoting, or failing forward. Progress becomes rigid. Freedom feels unsafe. Even joy feels conditional on doing things the right way. Hopscotch teaches children to value order over discovery, to fear missteps more than stagnation. Long after the chalk fades, many adults are still afraid to step outside the boxes drawn for them, worried that one wrong move will end the game entirely. Number 5. Chess tournaments. Over-focus on winning. Chess tournaments are praised as exercises in intelligence and discipline. Quiet rooms, clocks ticking, minds racing. But the hidden lesson isn't strategy, it's identity fusion with outcome. From a young age, children learn that their value is reflected on a scoreboard. Winning doesn't feel good, it feels necessary. Losing doesn't feel temporary, it feels revealing. Every move is watched, recorded, judged. There's no luck to blame, no teammate to share weight with. If you lose, the implication is personal. Your thinking failed. That trains the mind to equate mistakes with incompetence. Instead of curiosity, the child develops control. Instead of creativity, caution. Risk becomes dangerous because one bad decision can undo everything. Chess rewards optimization over intuition. Children stop exploring bold ideas and start calculating what won't lose them the game. Over time, they learn to fear uncertainty more than stagnation. The clock intensifies it. You're not just thinking. You're racing against time, against yourself, against the possibility of looking foolish. In adulthood, this becomes overthinking paralysis. People delay decisions until they're sure they'll win. They avoid trying new paths unless success feels guaranteed. Growth slows because losing feels like proof of inadequacy, not part of learning. Chess tournaments don't just teach how to think ahead. They teach how to attach self-worth to outcomes. And long after the board is packed away, many adults are still living life like a match they cannot afford to lose. Number 4. Relay races, guilt of letting team down. Relay races look like teamwork in motion. Fast legs, passing batons, cheering crowds. But the lesson that embeds itself deepest isn't cooperation, it's shared blame. From the moment a child grips the baton, they understand something heavy. Your mistake won't just hurt you, it will hurt everyone. The pressure doesn't come from running, it comes from waiting. Teammates watching, teachers watching, parents watching. One slip, one slow sprint, one dropped baton, and the entire group pays. The child learns that personal limits are unacceptable when others depend on you. Exhaustion becomes irrelevant. Anxiety becomes fuel. Unlike solo games, relay races wire guilt directly into effort. Even before running, the child imagines the consequences of failing. That anticipation trains hyper-responsibility. You don't ask, "Can I do this?" You ask, "What happens if I can't?" Over time, children stop listening to their own capacity and start overextending to protect others from disappointment. This shows up later as people-pleasing, burnout, and chronic self-blame. Adults take on too much at work, in families, in relationships, not because they want to, but because slowing down feels like betrayal. Rest feels selfish. Boundaries feel like dropped batons. Relay races quietly teach that your worth is measured by how well you perform for others. That failure isn't private, it's contagious. And long after the track is empty, many adults are still running at full speed, terrified that if they slow down, someone they care about will lose because of them. Number 3. Puzzles timed by adults, pressure to be fast. Timed puzzles are presented as brain games, bright pieces, smiling adults, a countdown hovering in the background. But the real lesson isn't problem-solving, it's urgency overriding understanding. From the moment the timer starts, curiosity collapses into pressure. The puzzle stops being something to explore and becomes something to finish before disappointment arrives. Adults hovering nearby change everything. Their eyes track speed, not process. Children sense it immediately. The message is subtle but firm. Faster means smarter. A child who pauses to think feels watched. A child who experiments feels wasteful. Soon, the safest move is rushing, even if it means forcing pieces that don't fit. What forms is a deep association between time and worth. The child learns that taking longer is a flaw, not a preference. Confusion becomes embarrassing. Asking for time feels like asking for mercy. Over time, the brain stops enjoying complexity and starts fearing it. Hard problems feel threatening because they take too long. In adulthood, this becomes impatience with learning, skimming instead of reading, Googling instead of understanding, feeling anxious when results don't come quickly. People abandon skills not because they're incapable, but because the internal timer starts screaming. Timed puzzles don't just rush children. They train them to distrust slow thinking. And long after the puzzle is solved, many adults still feel like there's an invisible clock counting down every moment. They don't immediately know the answer. Number 2. Hide and seek, anxiety about being found and exposed. Hide and seek feels playful, counting aloud, running feet, quiet laughter behind doors and curtains. But the emotional lesson sits in the hiding, not the seeking. The game teaches one central tension: being seen and safety. While hidden, the body relaxes. While waiting, the heart races. Discovery feels like failure. Children learn quickly that the best hiding spots are the ones where you disappear completely. Stillness becomes strategy. Silence becomes protection. Every footstep nearby tightens the chest. The moment you're found, the spell breaks. Laughter erupts, but the nervous system registers exposure. You were safe until someone noticed you. That wiring stays. Being watched begins to feel dangerous. Being fully known feels risky. Children internalize the idea that parts of themselves should stay hidden to avoid judgment or capture. The seeker isn't a villain, but their success still ends your comfort. As adults, this turns into social anxiety, imposter syndrome, and fear of vulnerability. People curate themselves carefully. They hide opinions, flaws, desires, not because they're dishonest, but because being found out feels like losing the game. Even success can trigger fear, because visibility means scrutiny. Hide and seek doesn't just teach where to hide, it teaches why to hide. That safety exists in the shadows, and exposure is something to outrun. Long after childhood, many adults are still hiding pieces of who they are, not waiting to be seen, but hoping no one looks too closely. Number 1. Team sports. Fear of letting others down. Team sports are sold as character building, unity, discipline, shared victory. But the quiet lesson beneath the jerseys is heavier. Your failure is never just yours. From the first missed pass or dropped catch, children learn that mistakes ripple outward. One error earns size, glares, sometimes silence, and silence hurts the most. The field becomes a stage where performance equals acceptance. You're praised when you contribute, tolerated when you don't interfere, and blamed when you cost the team. Even encouragement carries pressure. "We need you" sounds supportive, but it translates into obligation. You don't play freely, you play carefully. Fear replaces instinct. Over time, children stop asking what they enjoy and start asking what others expect. They suppress fatigue, injuries, doubts, because quitting or underperforming feels like betrayal. The scoreboard tracks more than points. It tracks social safety. Belonging becomes conditional on usefulness. This carries into adulthood as chronic self-monitoring. People stay in roles they hate because others rely on them. They overwork, overgive, overperform, afraid that stepping back will disappoint someone. Saying "I can't" feels like losing the game for everyone. Team sports don't just teach cooperation. They teach that love and acceptance must be earned through contribution. And long after the final whistle, many adults are still playing invisible games, terrified that if they stop performing, the team and their place in it will disappear.